There are some big names coming to the LCS next year in Perks and Alfari, plus some exciting rookies. But one thing it means is that we actually don't have as much space for all the players that we've had in this league for so long, and there are some really notable faces that are perhaps not starting next year. Shadowlands is about to come out, so I'm rushing out this video, but let's get into it. Okay, as I said, it is a bit of a talking head video today. I thought about taking the week off just for the holidays here in the States and also for Shadowlands, but I really wanted to talk about this as we're starting to wind down free agency and a lot of stuff is getting announced. This is a talking head video. I'm not going to put too much B-roll in it. Actually, no B-roll, so feel free to stick this on a separate tab or second monitor. If you want a second monitor, this video is sponsored by Alienware. You can check out their Black Friday deals at alienware.com/Travis. But be sure to subscribe. Anyway, let's just straight up get into it. As I mentioned before, there are big names coming to the LCS like Perks, Alfari. You have rookies like Jose Diodo, Diamond, and Newbie, who are people I'm really excited for. You have entire teams that are just running rosters that we have just never noticed in the LCS before, the players that have just never been here. And that is pretty cool. I think a lot of people are pretty excited to see all that news. But one downside of that is that there are probably a lot of players that people are fans of that will not be starting in this league anymore. They might be in academy, they might be elsewhere, they might be in different regions. And I think that's really important to talk about. I don't think anybody's noticed it yet, right? And so that's part of the reason I wanted to make this video, is because I know that there are probably some of you that are like, great, after disappointing years at Worlds, it's time that we make changes, and I agree with you, but man, is this going to be some big change. So let's take a look at the list. I have it right here. I know I'm probably missing some names, and maybe some of these will still end up on teams, but here we go. Notable players: Sneaky, Ruin, Hanser, Solo, Biofrost, Deftly, Wiggly, Golden Glue, Cody Sun, Ryoma, Fake God, Zazel, Meteos, Contracts, Apollo, Xmithy, Hakaho, Froggen, Viper, Poom, and yes, there are rumors that Doublelift, depending on TSM's roster, may not end up playing and starting for that team. So I know some people are going to hear some of those names on that list, and they're going to say, hey, I don't care if that player's not in the list, they're washed. But other people might hear that same player and think, what, they had like a great season last year. So I wanted to include just all these names. The vast majority of them have played in the LCS this past year. If not, like, you know, players like Sneaky that took a year off and everyone expected would be able to find a starting position when they came back. And it's pretty fascinating to see just that the vast majority of those players will not be starting next year. So it is definitely a transition year for us in 2021 to sort of this new generation of the players. I'm curious if some of them will come back up out of academy, but think about this. If somebody had told you at the beginning of 2020 that by 2021 we may start LCS without Hanser, Bjergsen, Biofrost, Sneaky, Meteos, Xmithy, or Doublelift, that is crazy. I mean, those are huge names, and obviously Bjergsen retired after making it to Worlds and winning Summer. Like, there are some pretty big names that are just not going to be there. Xmithy, for instance, had a great many years, great career in the LCS, went to Immortals, had one bad year, and we're not going to start him this coming year, it seems like. I mean, I don't know what's been going on. I will say that we even have some names that I didn't include on this list, like Broken Blade or Niski, that are headed back to EU. And you would think there's probably a pretty good chance that, you know, an LCS team could have tried to grab them. And so that's one thing that is pretty interesting to me. And it's not even just that, you know, it's not like the old guard is stepping down. In a couple places, yes, you have Bjergsen out. Doublelift may step down, but in part because he can't get a team that he's interested in. And I don't know. It's just like I've heard a lot of these players would be willing to take significant pay cuts to keep competing too. So I don't think it's even like, you know, players are sitting there saying, oh, I want $1 million or I am not playing in the LCS. You know, a lot of these players, the money came second to their ability to compete, and I think a lot of them want to prove themselves again. So I just think it's pretty interesting. And I would ask all of you, is it a good thing? And it's difficult for me to take a stance on this because I think in some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. So I don't have like a strong opinion, but I'm actually kind of like trying to open this up as a dialogue with all of you, maybe in the comments, or if this makes it over to Reddit or in my Discord or whatever. What do you think? How bad is it? We had Solo literally competing at Worlds in just last month, and he probably doesn't have a team. We had Sneaky at Worlds the last time he played. The only reason he seemed to take a year off was not because he was bad, but because he, was kind of in this weird situation with Cloud9. Seemed like maybe he couldn't find a team. I don't know. But the fact that he said in an interview with me that he was down to return to the LCS, and it looks like no LCS team is going to pick him up. Maybe that's a complicated situation because you have to kind of like pay Sneaky a decent amount of money just to make sure that it's not him losing tons and tons and tons from streaming. But that is wild. I think Hanser had a pretty good season, and we're not going to see him. Xmithy, I already said, great player, had a great time. Just the fact that he's not playing is wild. So, I don't know. What do you all think of this? Is it good that we're running so many new players? I mean, a lot of people wanted rookies. Is this too many, or is this good? Is it okay that we might have terrible teams? I mean, next LCS could be the worst year for us, at least in terms of the strength of the entire 10-team roster, because we are doing so much development with these new names. So I don't know if that's something that you guys are excited about. Also, is it bad that we're going to have so many of these big brands leave the LCS? I think for me, if I was to take a stance, I would say I'm a little worried about some of the players that we are keeping. I think there are players who have had worse performances year over year that seem to be finding teams or staying on teams. That's a bit of a head scratcher to me. And I also feel like it would have been good for us to kind of do this over 2 years. Maybe that giant list I just gave you, half of them don't play this year, but half of them do, and then in 2021 the other half head out, just because I'm kind of worried when you tell the average League fan, and I know that the people that watch this channel are a little bit more hardcore. You're a little bit more hardcore if you're watching this. I know that the average League fan is going to tune in and say like, what? There's no spring split, no summer split. This is completely different. And also Bjergsen retired and Doublelift, maybe, we don't know, might not be playing. And like, I thought Sneaky there's so much here. I just find it really fascinating. So I'm sure we'll talk about it on Hotline League tonight. Be sure to tune in 8 o'clock Pacific. There's a Twitch link in the description of this YouTube video, so you can take a call. Maybe you can say that you think this is great. Maybe you can say how it's not great. But I think it's very fascinating to see how things are going. Either way, that's just a quick hit video for today. Don't think anybody had really talked about the players that weren't getting teams. We mostly talked about the ones that were, and I'm excited to sort of see what you all think about this. And I mean, it's going to be a really interesting year for the LCS. Anyway, I'm off to Shadowlands, so I will catch you all later. Thanks so much for watching that video. Hope you really enjoyed it. Black Friday deals are happening at alienware.com/Travis. Go over to the Alienware page. You'll land on my page, but then click through to the Black Friday stuff. You'll find some great deals. And man, have they got some fantastic markdowns for this week or so. So be sure to check it out if you're in the market. Maybe you want to get one of those new 3000 series computers. Maybe you want to get like a great laptop or something for work. So thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring this video, and please do me a favor and click the link in the description to check out their Black Friday stuff happening this week.